So, Mike, would you tell us a little bit about how Hawk Analytics got started?
Hawk Analytics actually started years before the actual company. My wife and I were living in Silicon Valley, just making a living, doing what everyone else does up there, working the high-tech industry. We saw a news article, a woman was asking for help looking for her mom. And we thought, well, how can you not help go look for mom? She'd been missing about 6 months up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And so we went up there and helped that family. And we didn't find the lady. She, to this day, 15, 20 years later, is still missing, unfortunately. But we saw the impact that it made to those kids of that lady. And so we kept going back up there. I've been up to the place where her car was found at least 10 times, trying to help that family resolve that. As I said, unfortunately, we never did, but they appreciated it so much they told another family, and we helped look for their kids. And then another family, and before long we had a nonprofit out in California where we were organizing searches of up to 200 volunteer citizens, stomping around the Sierra Nevada mountains, the Mojave Desert, just trying to help close these cases for folks. We always did it with the approval of law enforcement, so I started getting to know some of the detectives on these cases and met just some amazing, wonderful folks. Loved the community, loved law enforcement folks, loved the mission. And it was on one of those searches where a detective said, hey, I have these phone records from AT&T. I was told that they would be useful. I have no idea what they mean. I said, well, I used to work in the cell phone industry as an engineer. I know exactly what those are. So he literally just handed me the spreadsheet and said, well, you figure it out. And I tried, and I failed. We actually kept running searches, and the boyfriend confessed and led him to where he had buried her. And we were 50 miles off. We weren't even in the right ballpark. But when I looked at that spreadsheet, the answers were in there. I just didn't know how to read it. And so that's the first moment back in about 2010 that I had the first idea that maybe there was something here. As an engineer understanding this data, maybe I could help. So we continued to volunteer with the missing persons cases, but every chance I could get, I would ask about phone records. And I started having an opportunity to look at more and more records. And finally, a lady who had been missing 7 years in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we found her through her phone records. And so then I knew it was possible. What I didn't know is if we'd just gotten lucky. So we had to at least do it again. During all this time as a software guy by profession, making a living in Silicon Valley, I was constantly working on visualizations to try and understand what those spreadsheets said. And it was about a year and a half later that we found 2 boys that had been missing in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And again, not only were the answers in that data, but they were answers that, as an engineer, I understood what the data was saying in terms of how the network was processing those phones. And it led us to put a push pin on a map 50 miles from the last tower they used, and it was right on top of their car. And it was unbelievable that the data could help that much. So that's when I decided, after talking a lot with my wife, Bridget, that we needed to start a company, productize all that software I've been playing around with, create a product, because we saw that not only could this help with missing persons, but it could help with property crimes, kidnappings, homicides, virtually every crime. There's a cell phone involved. So for the next year, I rewrote all of that prototype software into an industrial strength enterprise class software product that I felt I could be proud of for someone who'd worked almost 30 years in the Silicon Valley as a software engineer, and launched CellHawk, and then built the company Hawk Analytics to take it to market. That was at the end of 2013, and now here we are almost 10 years later, continuing to do really well and grow very quickly, and we're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish here.